I know. Not another Picasso video. But it's been 50 years since the artist's death, and exhibitions are popping up all over the world like Indiana corn in the summertime. There are so many shows, but only one seems to be getting the most attention. But there's a smaller show that's been traveling around the States this year that hasn't been getting as much attention. And I think it offers a fascinating glimpse into the trajectory of the career of one of the most important artists of the past 200 years. So we're off on a little road trip. Feel free to come along for the ride. Hello, my name is Christopher West, and we have arrived at the Cincinnati Art Museum. We are here to see an exhibition called Out of Bounds, which is dedicated to Picasso's landscapes. Now, you might be thinking, I didn't know Picasso was a landscape painter. Well, I was way too ambitious for my second video. 2 road trips, tons of guerrilla iPhone footage, 48 hours of editing. Well, I'm gonna scrap it all and only bring you the good stuff. My name is Christopher West, and I like to talk about art and design in a hopefully non-pretentious way. And today we're going to talk about Picasso, and specifically his landscapes. You see, the landscapes are pretty rare. Picasso painted more than 13,000 paintings in his lifetime, and it's estimated that perhaps 200 of those are landscapes. So we traveled to Cincinnati to see an exhibition dedicated to the subject matter. And it offers some fascinating insight into the career of one of the most important artists of the modern era. The exhibition begins with these 3 paintings, painted when Picasso was only a teenager. I find it fascinating that these paintings even still exist, especially when I compare it to my creative output in middle school. But if your dad was a drawing professor and you had your first exhibition at age 13, you might treat these with a little more care. When you look at these paintings, you'll notice they are good. Not groundbreaking, not revolutionary, but really good. Picasso is taking inspiration from artists like Monet or Rousseau, and if you look closely, you can start to see hints of abstraction in the tree trunks or the landscape through the window. But here are a couple of paintings I really want you to pay attention to. Both were painted in Spain in the summer of 1909. The first is simply called Landscape, and what do you see? Right there in the middle is the horizon line. Fast forward just a couple months and look at Reservoir. And what do you notice here? No horizon line. Everything has been painted in one plane. And that right there is Cubism. In the coming years, and still taking inspiration from the Impressionists, Picasso would try to tackle the atmosphere, painting things like rainbows or the rain. I would argue that these aren't quite as successful as some of his other work. But hey, if you paint 13,000 paintings in your lifetime, they can't all be masterpieces. After spending time in Paris, Picasso would continue to experiment with abstraction, but would also introduce bolder, brighter colors in his work. There was a tradition amongst artists of the time that in the winter you worked in your studio and in the summer you painted in the country. And we would see that in the work that he would paint on the coast of France or the villages of Provence. From there, the exhibition starts to look at portraiture, specifically portraiture in a landscape. We continue to see Picasso looking back at some of the artists that came before him, like Manet. He even put Manet's name right in the title of this piece. And we also see some of the work that we might more commonly associate with Picasso, and I would argue it's some of the strongest work in the show. The exhibition ends on a rather remarkable note. Picasso was 91 years old when he painted this painting. This was the last landscape Picasso would ever paint. It would be prominently featured in the last exhibition to receive Picasso's blessing that took place just a few months after his death. So, is this at times sublime and sometimes quirky exhibition worth seeing? Absolutely. I've seen exhibitions dedicated to his Blue Period. Gagosian a few years ago had an exhibition dedicated to his women, but it's nice to see an exhibition that really works through his entire life, from the early teenage years through to his death. Currently, this exhibition is at the Cincinnati Art Museum through October 15th. It travels to the Mississippi Art Museum and opens there in November. As a dealer and collector, I am always fascinated by the market for an artist or a particular piece of work. And it's going to come as no surprise when I tell you that Picasso's work is expensive. In fact, there have been 5 paintings that have sold for over $100 million, with the most expensive being La Femme d'Alger, reaching more than $179 million in 2015. Lesser paintings can go for closer to $1 million, but still out of reach for most of us. Drawings are a little more accessible, but if you want a decent one like this one recently offered at Sotheby's, it still could cost you up to $50,000. Picasso was also a prolific printmaker, and these can be a little more affordable. So if you're dead set on getting something from the artist's hand, you might want to go that route. And if you're really pinching pennies but still want to look at a masterpiece on your wall every day, you can pick up a poster at pretty much any museum gift shop in the world. So thanks so much for watching. If you could do me a favor and do all the things that help people find this video, I would really appreciate it. If you're in the market and looking to buy or sell any piece of modern art and design, Picasso or otherwise, I would love to talk to you, and I'll leave my contact information in the description below. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again on the next one. Ciao.